Hello, and welcome to Cat's Cottage. Got a nice cup of coffee this morning. I hope everybody's got themselves a nice warm cup of coffee. Ah, it feels good going down my throat. I've got it black this time, so that's I'm through trying the cream for a while. I hope everybody's um, well, and that your doctor appointment went okay. Uh, for the lady that was going to the doctor, and I know we're always kind of anxious about that. I don't know. The thing I hate about going to the doctor is they want to fuss at you, or not fuss really, but tell you, you know, like you don't know, you know. And you sometimes I act like I don't know anything, you know, and or really not worried about anything. I don't want problems because we don't need to worry about things. You know, we can't prevent what's going to happen to us. You know, we're going to age and we're going to die. That's it. We can't prevent it. But anyway, I hope everything turned out okay for you. And you know, you got prodded and poked. Uh, if I think about the doctors, I think the only thing they get mad about is I don't go have that breast exam. They carry on about it, preach to me, and I don't want to hear it. Hey, you go put your tit in a wedge, and a metal wedge, and have them press it down flat. Let's see how you like that. You know, no, I'm not. I don't do that. And some of them will say, "Oh, okay," you know, but they start talking. Uh, I've even had them tell me, "Examine yourself," then, you know. Uh, but I'm not going for that test. And I did go for one colonoscopy. I don't have a problem with that. Uh, it's been a long time ago. When I took the one I did take, it went fine. I didn't like the slapping of the hand constantly to put the needle in, but that's something you have to deal with when you get stuff like that done. But anyway, I just have to see if I remember that mic. Uh, where was I? I forgot. I was talking about colonoscopy. Uh, I said get one in 10 years. The letter came after I had it done. Everything was fine. Get one in about 10 years, you know, and or 5 years. I can't remember now which it was. They surely wouldn't have said 10 years. But anyhow, the letter said, and also make sure you have insurance. Check your insurance because we're having problems. And that was about the time that insurances was changing over or something. You know, they just can't leave things alone. They can't leave things alone. They got to just keep switching. Anyway, if you're not in America, you've probably heard about these drones here over Drone, New Jersey. You know, uh, don't worry about those things. Don't worry about them. Uh, I just feel like it's a distraction. They've created a distraction. Uh, the people who are still in power right now, they've made a distraction to try to get our mind off of getting rid of them, you know, the things they're doing. And I know if you're not American, or if you are, you've seen it in the news, all the carryings on. And the guilty people are worried about going to jail for what they've done, and they need to. They need to go to jail for what they've done. I mean, you don't steal. and from the public. You don't steal from people. Uh, Sometimes, and I don't work now, but I do get, Social Security. I myself have Social Security, but as working, you're almost like a slave. You know, you're like a slave to the government because you're paying all these taxes. Uh, but that's the way I've always felt about that. That we're just slaves in another degree that nobody can see or nobody talks about. Um, all of us, you know, whatever color we are. And I hope that this new government that comes in um, gets rid of the taxes, gets rid of a lot of taxes. Yeah, we've been taxed enough. We've got too much taxes. Um, but anyway, that's enough about that. Um, yesterday I made that video on the sponge, and that's not all the time. You have to put salt on your sponge all the time. It's kind of like a sponge in the ocean. Has salt in the ocean water, and it keeps the sponges, which are alive, ocean sponges, keeps them soft and pliable. And of course, these sponges we buy for our kitchen, they're not real. They're just artificial. And but anyway, it does keep them soft and pliable. I didn't show that was a new sponge I showed you, but my sponge that I actually use is years old, and it's just as pliable. It's just dingy and dark looking, and I didn't want to show that one. They thought, oh, I don't want that old dark sponge to clean my dishes with. But if you wash dishes, I don't use a dishwasher anymore. But if you wash dishes or you're constantly wiping in your kitchen and messes and cleaning up and all that, you really use a sponge or a cloth, whatever it is. And salt is like a disinfectant in a way. Um, my mother always took us to the beach when I was a kid. That we lived near the beach, and when I got older and we moved even closer, I could walk down there. But yeah, Mama always took us to the beach to, y'all get out there in the sand and the sun. You had the sand that would, like it was like a treatment. Sand is good for removing, helping sores, removing bad stuff off your body, skin and all that kind of stuff. And then you had the sun, if you didn't get too much of it, which I always did. And the sun would give you that vitamin D. And then you had the water, salty water. And that was, good for you, for your skin. And your head, clear your head up. If y'all remember swimming, getting it in your head, your nose. But yeah, so that makes sense that it would keep that sponge disinfected and kind of clean. But it won't keep its pretty color though. It'll still get dark looking. But when mine gets to a point where I can't stand looking at it anymore, I'll just take it and scrub spots on my floor or windowsills or something that I'll reuse it and then throw it totally away. So, um, but anyway, I'm rambling on here. Get a cup of drink of this. Okay. Um, someone asked me to talk about my children. Um, it could be painful to talk about my children. Uh, I had 3 daughters, and the last daughter is the one that has stayed with me. Not lived with me, but stayed in the same area. And she's the one that brings help when I need it. Um, Takes care of me physically, my health. She's my doctor, and she's a real sweetheart. She really is. Uh, my other two have gone their way, you know, and that's the kindest way I can say, kindest way I can talk about them. The other two, that you regret things when you get older about your mother or your father. You'll regret them. They'll come back to haunt you, and I really hate that that's what will happen with them if it does. Um, you know, they can tell themselves all those stories they want to tell, try to figure it out to make it justified in their heads, but it's not going to work, you know. Um, just like myself, I think about my own mother, um, even my grandmother, the little bit I knew about her, the one in Mobile. Um, but it all comes back to you. It comes back. This, what is that in the Bible about the sin comes back to haunt you? Well, it does. It does. It comes back and talks to you. But see, the thing about that is you don't let it, because if you've been forgiven for your sins and you've asked God, well, forgive me. If you've really truly been and said, forgive me for my sins, and He forgives you, all you have to do is ask. I'm not trying to preach here or nothing, okay? I'm just trying to say, when I'm relating this to uh, when bad memories come to you of things you shouldn't have done or said, and you've already asked forgiveness. In my mind, that's just your mind. It's a devil playing with you. He wants you to feel bad, and I'm like, oh, okay, here you are, but I don't feel bad about that because the Lord has forgiven me. So that's the way I look at that. Um, to not have those things in my mind worried about. But, okay. Well, I'm not sure what else I can talk about. Um, like I said earlier on my other film, uh, I didn't have a grandpa or a grandma growing up, and but I did have my daddy's mama, which was my grandmother, pop in and out of my life, of our lives, and when she did, um, she didn't like being there, and I'm not sure why she even bothered to show up. I mean, come. Of course, Daddy would always have to go get her, and I remember trips to her home. She lived. Let me see if I can remember this. She lived in Houston. She lived in Irvington Courts, and it was what they call condos now, but back then they didn't call them condos. It was just an apartment, and it was all concrete floors, concrete steps going upstairs. Um, it was very cold and dreary. Tiny little living room, about I guess maybe the size of my little spot in there, little living room. And that was where she had her bed, because it was downstairs in there. And I'm starting to laugh now because I'm looking. I've got a curtain right here. Remember my curtain? I divided the room. Well, she had a curtain, and it was over this room. And then now, I'm calling this room pantry room. It was a curtain over her doorway of a pantry room. And I don't know if I'm repeating the past, or what am I doing here. But she slept in her living room, and she had a little pantry, narrow. It was much narrower than this. Well, it may not have been. It had shelves in it, so it might have been close to the same size. But she had things in there, and she had fruit in baskets on the floor. Uh, she said that was um, what the church had brought her. So it was oranges mostly, and she brought some oranges out to us to eat. Uh, but I remember her cooking us up a meal, invited us over for a meal, and it was hamburger patties with, they're cooked in a skillet, they're fried in the skillet, and then you make gravy. Take them out, and then you make the gravy out of the grease and put water in it, and you make the gravy out of that meat flavoring. And then you put those fried patties back into it, and you let them cook. Let them cook real good while. And it's really delicious. It's really good. But anyway, she cooked that for us, and I don't know who got the special patty, but it was a SOS pad in there in the pan with gravy on it, and she had poor eyesight, and she kept an SOS pad on her sink to clean her pots, and that SOS pad was inside that beautiful pot of gravy and beef patties. I don't know what you would call. I don't know what you call that, but yeah, SOS pad was in there, and we had ate all our food just about. And I don't know who found it. It might have been my daddy. It might have been, I don't know, Mama. I don't know, but somebody found it, and that's she didn't mean to do that. I'm sure she didn't do that on purpose. She wouldn't have done that on purpose. That's about like the time I baked a cake when I was at home. Oh, I guess I was about, maybe I was 14, 13 or 14, down in uh, Bellefontaine, Alabama, where I lived, near Dauphin Island, right there at Dauphin Island. And I was baking a cake. How us young girls, we want to mess around in the kitchen. We don't know what we're doing really, but I baked a cake. The cake came out real good, and and everybody was gone, and I was in the house by myself, so I baked the cake. And they all came back, and the cake was done, and I took it out of the oven, of course, and set it there. And it had cooled, and I put uh, some icing on it. I don't know where I got the icing. It was homemade, but I put icing on the top. Anyway, they had come back with my grandmother, my mama's mama, and of course, Daddy was there, Mama was there, Grandma was there, and they brought this little kid from Grandma's neighborhood, uh, a little fat boy. I don't know what his name was. Um, can't remember his name. It was an odd name. Anyway, I cut them all a piece of cake, and Mama just thought that was just so special. But they were hungry and they were thirsty, and everybody fixed it all up good. Anyway, I'll get to my point in a minute. Uh, my daddy, we had huge, tall cabinets that were just big old. This is a big old house built in the early 19th century. It was moved there. My daddy set it up and had these gigantic cabinets. And to get up top to the top cabinet, I would have had to got a ladder. Uh, but anyway, I had mixed and made my cake right below this big cabinet. Opened it probably, got out whatever I needed, put it back. And anyway, a nail about that long fell into my cake batter, and I didn't see it. And when I served the cake, it ended up uh, at that little boy's cake. And Mama knew I didn't like that little boy. But how would I know he was coming? And how would I know where that nail was? But anyway, They made such a big deal out of that nail in that cake. I mean, it wasn't like he swallowed it or anything. And anyhow, they accused me of doing it on purpose. And no, but come to find out, Daddy had thrown up some loose nails up on the top shelf. And one just, when I opened it, probably, it just went bloop. And, you know, but anyway, they accused me of doing that on purpose. I mean, I couldn't win when I was a kid. I always was guilty of everything. And I don't know what they was talking about half the time. Um, anyway, that reminded me when I accused, when I, grandma's SOS pad. That's worse than my nail, I think. Can you imagine just taking your fork and you're going to try to cut into that beef patty and it doesn't cut and you just keep looking at it. Now I recall, I think it was my daddy that got it. But anyway, it looks like I've talked long enough. I'm at 22 minutes now. So, but it's great talking to everybody, and I like hearing about your how you iron things. I mean, I know about the dryer, but I didn't know how to do it well on a video. Really, I mean, didn't know how to do it. I don't know how to put in. I don't know how to put two pieces together of a film, of the videos. I had to do it all in one whack. So, but anyway, I like the comments of people telling me, what the reason for this and the reason for that and what they do, and I like that. Uh, I'm open minded to all that stuff. And anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Wonderful day. Um, it should rain here today. And I heard my owl. It was not mine, but I heard the owl for this area. There's quite a few of them, and I hadn't heard them in so long, and I was so worried. I thought, well, somebody shot them just because they can. And I thought, oh, little owls are not coming back. And but I did. I heard one this morning, and I thought, okay, y'all are so welcome here. Just eat all the little mice and little critters you can find. Whatever you got to do, you know. Um, but anyway, I see an owl. I don't know what it is, but I see them as good luck for some reason. Um, but y'all have a great day, and I don't know if I'll be back with anything crazy or not. Um, I've never put green potatoes in a sack. I have seeded them up like that. I have to admit that sack needs to be a little bigger, and if I find another sack a little bigger, I'll move them to that. But they need space, to push up with their sprouts. And I don't know anything about those potatoes. I've always liked to grow red potatoes, Irish potatoes. But we'll see. We'll see. Uh, I'm not holding my breath about anything. If I can find some more that's seeded up, I'll get those. Uh, but anyway, y'all have a great day, and I guess I wish y'all all good weather, pretty weather, and I hope I'll have the same. Even if it does rain, I don't care. I don't mind rain. But anyway, talk to you later on. Bye bye.